Welcome to On the Money right here on WDBO. My name is Greg Rhodes, joined today by the people of Certified Financial Group, the people who are planning your financial future, making your tomorrow just a little bit better than your today. Joining us today, we have Charles Curry and Joe Bert, Certified Financial Planners with the Certified Financial Group. And you know by now that for more than 30 years, the professionals at Certified Financial Group have been answering your questions for you every week here on WDBO's On the Money. They become Central Florida's most listened to financial call-in program, and it's the only call-in program where all the hosts are certified financial planners. Morning, Charles. Morning, Joe. How are we today?
Good morning, Greg. And not only are we the only financial call-in show hosted exclusively by certified financial planners, I think we are the only financial call-in show that's live. Most everybody else is a 1-hour infomercial, but Charles and I are here this morning to take calls from our listeners, things that might be on your mind, things that Charles and I and the 15 other certified financial planners deal with day in and day out, providing retirement planning, investment management for our clients for a fee, working as fiduciaries. On Saturday morning, though, we are here for you absolutely free. So if there's anything on your mind regarding your personal finances, decisions that you're trying to make regarding your IRA, your 401k, long-term health care, insurance, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, real estate, all those things that Charles and I deal with, we are here for you this morning. The good news for you is the lines are absolutely wide open. So if you have any questions, things that are on your mind, questions that you might have, things or rumors you might have heard, or something you just want clarified, we are here for you. So pick up the phone and dial these magic numbers.
That's right. Go ahead and reach out to 844-580-9326. That's 844-580-WDBO, or go ahead and utilize the open mic feature inside the WDBO app. We also have Wynn Smith, who's taking calls off the air today. That's at 407-869-9800. And today's topic is, my kid just turned 18 and is heading off to college. What should I know as a parent?
Well, Charles has a lot of firsthand experience on this as of recently, right, Charles? You're facing that challenge.
I am. I'm facing that challenge, and it's something I think is very important to share with our listeners. And like you mentioned before, it's great to have a live call-in show that we can answer a lot of different questions, especially this time of year is when a lot of kids are graduating from high school, and a lot of parents have those proud moments of kind of preparing to send their kids off to school. And there's a lot of things that are there on your plate, and I have firsthand experience of what you need to know and what to be prepared for. And before we kind of jump in today's topic, last time I was here, we were talking about different ways to pay for college. And we just went through celebrated 529 Day, and 529s, of course, are a great vehicle for saving for college. Allows you to put money into those and have it grow tax-free. And the neat thing about them is that you can give $19,000 today to any individual or to your child tax-free to utilize for college. And if you can get that invested and growing, that money can really compound and really be worth something, especially if you start early.
That's the key. Got to start early.
Got to start early, and that money will just grow and compound. I was meeting with a couple recently who had a windfall, and they took, since I just mentioned $19,000 per year, you can actually do something where if you had a windfall, you can actually double it up to 5 times that amount. So say $95,000 today. So if you had a windfall, you could put that amount of money right into the account, no tax impact to your child, and really allow that money to really grow and compound, and really could be a substantial amount of money when they need it. And so the couple I met with, they had a windfall. This was several years ago. They put in $50,000 for each of their 2 children, and that amount and that account has grown very nicely to pay for college. And even when you see the headlines today about how expensive school has gotten, they're very comfortable with what they've done and how much their account has grown.
Yeah, 529 is a great plan. I like using the 529s as many of our clients do as well. I also believe that you ought to have a foundation. I don't know your attitude about this, but I like putting some in the Florida prepay, so you know that foundation is taken care of, whether you do 2 years or 4 years. But you're guaranteed that part is going to be covered no matter what the cost is going to be. And of course, you can also transfer the value of that to an out-of-state school. And then on top of that, layer a 529. There's different ways to get there. But the one thing I like is about the prepay is that you've got some guarantee in your situation.
And it's especially unique here in the state of Florida. We have that Florida prepaid plan handled by the state where you can lock in today the cost of college for your child. in the future. So if you have a 1-year-old, you can lock in the cost for that kid 17 years from now, which is pretty incredible that you can lock that and have a certainty. Whereas a lot of things in life, there's a lot of uncertainty of what that's going to cost, and the cost of inflation and everything else. And of course, the cost of college education keeps going up and up at a pace faster than inflation today, that it's, when we do financial plans, folks are very surprised what that costs, both for in-state as well as for out-of-state. And that portability that you mentioned is a very important piece, especially if your child decides, I'm not going to go to school in the state of Florida. I'm going to look to go outside and may go to a Southeast school, to have that ability to take those funds and utilize it towards college. The big key there is the state of Florida, that prepaid plan will give you kind of the cost of what a credit hour in the state of Florida towards out of state. And to flip over to the 529, the nice thing about that is it's not state specific. You can utilize it in any state where your child wants to go to school, if they want to go to public or private. The nice thing about 529 plans is you can also use it for graduate school. Myself, I'm an MBA graduate, and I think that's important to go to grad school. And so we put money in the 529 plan, both for college as well as for grad schools for the kids.
Right, or you can go to trade school.
Correct.
Well,
Trade school is another big important piece. That was a part of the discussion I had with a client. There was some confusion around Florida prepaid program and whether that would cover trade school. And with the 529 plan, of course, that does cover trade school.
And the thing about the Florida prepaid plan, it's not something you have to put a lump sum of money in. You can do it a monthly installment plan if you don't have the lump sum to go. So there are all kinds of flexibility. The key is sit down with your certified financial planner, have him or her look at your situation, figure out what's best, and figure out the best way to get there. So what's your experience here with children moving on to that next step?
Yeah, the thing that when you have your kids move off to college, there's some important things. And it's back to when your child turns 18, there's a lot of or not new, but a lot of laws that are out there that all of a sudden, when they become an adult in the eyes of the law, there's some things that you need to have as a parent when your child goes off to college, you need to have in your file. The first one has to do with this thing called HIPAA, which is the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, which a lot of us are familiar with just by going to see doctors. You need to have one of those for your child called a HIPAA release, because what happens is if your child goes off to college and they get hurt, the college looks at the child as an adult, as an individual with privacy rights, and they will not share anything about what happened to your child or what's going on with their medical condition unless you have that HIPAA release that you can provide. And it was very eye-opening, because as a parent, you make lots of decisions for your child, especially around healthcare and financial decisions, that all of a sudden now they could be off at school. God forbid something happens, and you can't make
the decisions.
They won't tell you what happened, what's going on, nor can you make healthcare decisions on their behalf. And that kind of goes into kind of the other piece about having a healthcare proxy, or kind of having a healthcare power of attorney. That's another important document that you need to have in your file as well. As typically when you talk about estate plan, it's usually with folks who are retirees, but this has to do with children, and that healthcare proxy has to do with, back to what we were saying before, making medical decisions, that if your child was in an accident or it became incapacitated, you need somebody the hospital won't allow you to show up and make medical decisions unless you have this in your file, where you can tell them, this is what I would like to have done for my child.
And that's not only for your children, that's for your spouse or loved ones.
Correct.
Because the way the law is today, you may be standing in the hospital lobby trying to make decisions, and unless you've got these forms on file, you've got a mess on your hands. So get together with your advisor, with your attorney, and get those done. But getting back to the children.
Yeah, then the same thing with those things you need to have in file. You need to also make sure you have an ability, either in a hard copy or in like a flash drive or something, where you have it on you. Because if you can imagine an emergency, if you have it in a safe at the bank, your safety deposit box, you're not going to be able to get to it quickly when you need it. And the main thing about that, of course, with that healthcare proxy, is your child is appointing you as their healthcare decision maker. So if there's something wrong, you can make medical decisions on their behalf. With that HIPAA release, you can get access to their healthcare kind of information, which is important too. And the main things with these are legal documents. Each state is specific with them. When you have them done, you would like to typically get them notarized. and have them in a file where it's very accessible for you.
Yeah, and that's really the key. One of not the key, but one of the very important things to consider, because you're standing in the hospital. You need to have this HIPAA form or the medical care surrogate form to prove that you can make the decisions, and you don't have it on you. You don't carry it with you unless you've got it on your phone.
Correct.
And so there are apps to do that. I use Dropbox. You're familiar with Dropbox? It's just an app that you can store all your documents in there. And we have our passports in there, driver's license, credit card information. And of course, your phone should be protected. So, if you lose your phone, somebody can't get into it. But that is, you're walking around with that valuable information that you may need at the drop of a hat. And if it's at home in your file cabinet, you're stuck.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and the other things you need besides those two documents we talked about, you also need a thing called a living will, which has to do with kind of end-of-life medical decisions, that if something was to happen where your child was in a coma, you could make kind of those decisions as well. And as you mentioned, that's a document that's important for all of us to have. And then lastly is having a durable power of attorney. If your child's off at college, they have college bills. If they became incapacitated and can't make financial decisions, how's their rent going to be paid? How's their car payments going to be paid, and credit card bills and all those other things? You need to have that as well so you can make financial decisions, or they could be in really a tough situation when they are in a hospital and can't make financial decisions as well as kind of making medical decisions on their behalf.
So you're dealing with all that.
Correct. That's something that's very eye-opening. You're not aware of that kind of going in as a parent when you drop your kid off at college, that you need all these kind of estate documents. It's something that you think, oh, I just need it for myself for later in life. But truly, you kind of need that for your children to protect them, and as you as a parent to be able to make decisions on your child's behalf because they turned 18, and in the eyes of the law, they're an adult.
Right.
And as an adult, they have privacy. They have kind of the ability to make their own decisions. And in order to protect you as a parent and protect your child, it's important to have those documents. The nice thing is a lot of those documents are easy to come by nowadays. We have an ability now here in-house where we can help clients with those type of documents, get those prepared for them so they can have those in their file. The other thing that I also thought was interesting was that with the colleges today, because they look at them as adults, they don't have to release their grades to you unless the child actually gives the school permission.
That's a whole other eye-opener, isn't it?
Correct, correct. Even though you might be paying the tuition because they're an adult, the school does not have to release the grades to you, so you don't know what's going on there unless the child gives the school permission to do that.
Yeah. I have a feeling they have to be changed by executive order here pretty soon. Anyway, here's bumper music there. Greg, take it away.
Some great information there from Charles Curry. If you've got a child that's just now going off to college and have any questions that you're not sure about, go ahead and give us a call here, 844-580-9326. That's 844-580-WDBO, or you can use the open mic feature inside the WDBO app. You're listening to On the Money, where we're planning tomorrow
Today
with the Certified Financial Group.
For 40 years, our certified financial planner professionals, acting as fiduciaries, have been providing retirement planning and asset management for a fee to countless families across Central Florida.
We've been with Certified since 1992.
We're now into the third or fourth generation of clients that have come to CFG and the team here to do a great job.
It's been so long since I've been doing this that I just don't even worry about anything anymore.
We're a certified financial group, but we're planning tomorrow, today. Our fiduciary approach of providing retirement planning and investment management for a fee seems to resonate with our clients. But don't take my word for it.
I knew a gentleman that I worked with who had come to Certified Financial Group.
A friend of mine recommended them, and they were totally correct how good they are.
I had heard from somebody else that it was the best one in town. I've sent several of my teacher friends here.
We're a certified financial group, but we're planning tomorrow, today. You may be new to the area, but we're not. For more than 40 years, our certified financial planner professionals, acting as fiduciaries and providing retirement planning and asset management for a fee to countless families across Central Florida.
We've been with Certified since 1992.
We're now into the third or fourth generation of clients that have come to CFG and the team here to do a great job.
It's been so long since I've been doing this that I just don't even worry about anything anymore.
We're Certified Financial Group, where we're planning tomorrow, today. Black Monday, the dot-com bust, 9/11, and now 2 wars. We've pretty much seen it all. Acting as fiduciaries, our CFP professionals have been a steady hand guiding our clients to and through their retirement years.
No reason to be worried about anything.
Stay the course. You stay the course, and you get there.
I don't have to worry about it like I know a lot of people look at it every day. I don't have to do that with the team here at Certified Financial Group.
We're Certified Financial Group, where we're planning tomorrow, today. Are you tired of trying to reach your advisor through a call center and being put on hold for 20 minutes? That's why we don't use one, and our clients seem to appreciate the personal touch.
They always answer my questions and really care about what's going on with me.
You can trust what they say, and they do what they say, and it gives you a comfort feeling it's hard to find in the world today.
Waiting for you to call almost. You almost feel like that.
We're Certified Financial Group, where we're planning tomorrow, today.
As an investor, you want peace of mind. You need to know that your advisor is not only thoroughly competent, but also a fiduciary. In other words, he or she is acting at all times in your best interests. You need to trust your advisor, regardless of how much money you have to invest or what part of the world you're in. It might not be your money you're entrusting the advisor with. Perhaps you're a board member of a charity or foundation whose future depends on prudent investment. Or perhaps you have the responsibility of making investment decisions on behalf of other people. As the trustee of a retirement plan, the decisions you make can have a direct impact on the lives of your employees. Whatever type of investor you are, the solution is to use an advisor certified by the Center for Fiduciary Excellence. A CFEX certified advisory firm demonstrates its adherence to a global fiduciary standard of excellence, a defined standard with specific criteria covering 21 best practices. The documented, repeatable processes and the evidence-based decision-making that CFEX demands are more likely to generate investment portfolios that match client needs and expectations. And because the firm voluntarily agrees to a rigorous annual audit, investors can rest assured that their advisor continues to work to the highest professional standards. This independent verification is even more critical for trustees and investment committee members of retirement plans who are legally required to conduct regular due diligence on their service providers. Use a CFEX certified firm, and that job has been done already by an expert at no expense to the plan. So why leave anything to chance? Insist on working with investment professionals you can truly trust. Insist on using a CFEX certified advisor.
So you guys don't know Chicago, but I'm sure in your neighborhood you guys have an old school butcher where you walk in and there's a bunch of guys, no gloves, big white aprons, and there's Frank and there's Stevie and there's Mikey. And these guys know more about meat and more about animals and more about cooking the meat than any of us will ever learn. And so you walk in and you say, hey Lou, I need to, I'm barbecuing this weekend, right? What do you like?
Welcome back to On the Money here on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. You can also listen live on the WDBO app wherever you are. Today we have Charles Curry and Joe Bert from the Certified Financial Group. And if you've got any questions about your finances, go ahead and give us a call here, 844-580-9326. Or go ahead and reach out offline and speak with Wynn Smith, who's taking calls at 407-869-9800. And guys, let's go ahead and head out to Longwood. We've got Janice on the line who's got a question about her condo. Janice, you're on with the Certified Financial Group.
Morning, Janice. Thanks for calling. What's up?
Good morning. So I owe $38,000 on my condo, and I'd like to pay it off with my IRAs. I have a Roth and I have a regular.
Okay. And tell me why you want to pay it off.
Well, I owe 38,000 and I have 10,000 cash. I have 18,000 cash for my emergency fund, but I'm willing to give up 10,000 towards that. So 28,000 is what I want to use for my IRA.
Tell me something about the mortgage on the condo, Janice. How many year mortgage was it?
Well, it's a 15-year mortgage, and it's like a HELOC from a credit union,
Right. Mm-hmm.
and it's 4.25%.
Okay.
And my payment's like $270 a month.
And how far are you into the mortgage in 15 years? How long have you had it?
I've probably had it for, I don't know, 6 or 7 years.
All right. So you've crossed a threshold where most of the payment is going, a good part of the payment is going toward the principal. Tell me about your tax situation. Are you employed?
I'm not employed at the moment.
You're not employed, so you probably have very little taxes, if any, you're paying. What's your source of income? Social Security?
My Social Security, yeah, and then my IRA.
And your IRAs. So you're drawing from your IRAs. So the question is, should you draw 28,000 out of your IRA? Or
Right.
you
I have a Roth, yeah. I have a Roth and I have a regular.
Yeah.
And how much are in each of those accounts today?
Okay, so I have 293 total. The Roth has 112, and the other one has 180.
Okay. All right. Doing that may not be a bad idea. And what you want to look at is how much to take out of the Roth and how much to take out of the regular. You're probably going to be, you're bumping up against a 12% tax bracket, which isn't too bad unless you take it all out of the Roth. I presume the Roth is more than 5 years old?
Oh, yes.
Okay, yeah. So you can withdraw from the Roth. You can withdraw from the Roth with no consequences. And what's the current? You said 4.5% on the mortgage.
4.25, I think.
4.25, and it's adjustable.
Yeah, it says adjustable. Is it going to be adjusting here anytime soon?
Oh, it's not adjustable.
No. I would never do that.
Oh, okay. So you locked in 4.25. I don't know. I hate to give up money that's growing for you tax free and tax deferred. Is the condo your primary residence or is it a rental property?
Yes. No, it's my primary residence.
That's your primary residence. Okay.
And I want to
Go ahead.
traveling in the summer, to my kids' house and stuff. It's just, I think it's like one less bill I have to worry about, think about.
I understand. Either way you can go. I don't think there's any clear-cut way to do this, Charles. I don't think you would take it out of your Roth. It's not going to affect you long-term detrimentally if you pay off the mortgage over time, but I understand the aggravation factor. What do you think, Charles?
Yeah, the other thing, too, is it's a question about taxes, is that if you take money out of your IRA, of course, that's going to be taxable income to you in the year that you take it
Unless
out.
we do the Roth.
Unless you take the money out of the Roth,
Right.
then it's a tax-free
Right.
distribution,
Right.
especially since now you're in retirement age where you're taking Social Security.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of looking at the taxes and seeing what's the best for your situation so you don't pull yourself into a higher tax bracket. The con of it is by taking money out of either your Roth or your IRA, you're taking money that's growing for you, kind of either tax deferred in the IRA or tax free in the Roth. But ultimately, it's money for you. If you feel paying down debt or paying off debt's the most important thing for you to allow you to kind of sleep well at night, you have done a great job of accumulating assets over the years, and those funds are there for you.
Yeah, I know years ago my friends took all their money out of their IRA and just put it in real estate because it was doing so bad.
Well, sometimes it's a good idea and sometimes it's a disaster. But Janice, to answer your question, based on what we know, there isn't anything that will hurt you detrimentally or nothing that's going to make a huge difference to you. But if it gives you peace of mind, knowing it's done, I take the money out of the Roth and pay it off and enjoy your summer.
Thank you, Janice, for that call. And if you have any other financial questions, go ahead and give us a call here, 844-580-9326. It's 844-580-WDBO. You're listening to On the Money, where we're planning tomorrow
Today.
with the Certified Financial.
And Lou goes to you know, the big racks of stuff he has underneath the glass, and he goes, you know, the veal chops, just in from Argentina, they are the bomb. And you go, veal? Oh, I like veal. Well, what do you got on skirt steak? Oh, we got some great skirt steak. Just came in yesterday from Montana. Skirt steak is one of my favorite. Marinated up a little bit. It's fantastic. Lou will never say to you, you know, Elliot, it's a little long on the meat here, big guy. Your cholesterol is getting high. Why don't you go down to the fishmonger a couple blocks and have a nice piece of salmon? Right? He'll never do that. Why? His job is to sell me meat, and I go in, actually the same way I go into the Toyota dealership, because I like Toyotas, and I trust the salesman to sell me a good product if I trust him. And the fact that he's got my interest at heart vis-a-vis my expectations for selling me that thing. By the same token, when I go to see a dietitian, I know she's going to look at all of my labs, she's going to take all the measurements, she's going to run all of her analysis, and she's going to absolutely give me her best thinking on what's best for me. Whether she's a vegetarian or a meat lover, likes this, likes that, if she thinks I should be doing something differently, even if it's not good for her, she's going to give me an opinion that's for my interest. So what's the difference between a fiduciary and the brokers? Well, these are dietitians, these are butchers. It's that simple. Brokers are butchers selling product. Fiduciaries are dietitians looking after your health. The problem is most people think that their butcher is a dietitian. So when one of your moms or dads or friends calls the broker and says, you know, I got 200 grand, I sold a little piece of property, or I got some inheritance, what should I do with it? They're going in thinking they're talking to a dietitian, and they're really talking to Lou the butcher.
What is a fiduciary? When it comes to investing, a fiduciary is legally required to act in your best interest. For 40 years, planners at Certified Financial Group have been guiding our local clients toward financial peace of mind. The rest of the world is still catching up, but our team of certified financial planners are the local, experienced fiduciaries you can trust. Certified Financial Group are your Central Florida planners. Call us today.
40 years ago, I had a dream of building the best personal financial consulting firm in Central Florida. Now, with 14 certified financial planners acting as fiduciaries, I believe we're there. But don't take my word for it.
As we approach retirement, we have the freedom of choice.
Peace of mind that we now have, that's everything to us.
The people that work here are honest and caring, and I feel like I can go to sleep at night.
So schedule your no-obligation visit today at financialgroup.com, or we're planning tomorrow. For more than 40 years, our certified financial planner professionals, acting as fiduciaries, have been providing retirement planning and asset management for a fee to countless families across Central Florida.
We've been with Certified since 1992.
We're now into the third or fourth generation of clients that have come to CFG and the team here to do a great job.
It's been so long since I've been doing this that I just don't even worry about anything anymore.
We're Certified Financial Group, but we're planning tomorrow, today. Our fiduciary approach of providing retirement planning and investment management for a fee seems to resonate with our clients. But don't take my word for it.
I knew a gentleman that I worked with who had come to Certified Financial Group.
A friend of mine recommended them, and they were totally correct how good they are.
I had heard from somebody else that it was the best one in town. I've sent several of my teacher friends here.
We're Certified Financial Group, but we're planning tomorrow, today. You may be new to the area, but we're not. For more than 40 years, our certified financial planner professionals, acting as fiduciaries, have been providing retirement planning and asset management for a fee to countless families across Central Florida.
We've been with Certified since 1992.
We're now into the third or fourth generation of clients that have come to CFG and the team here to do a great job.
It's been so long since I've been doing this that I just don't even worry about anything anymore.
We're Certified Financial Group, but we're planning tomorrow, today. Black
Welcome back to On the Money here on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. You can also listen live on the WDBO app wherever you are. Today we have Charles Curry and Joe Bert from the Certified Financial Group. If you have any questions about your finances, go ahead and give us a call here at 844-580-9326. That's 844-580-WDBO, or you can go ahead and use the open mic feature inside the WDBO app. And don't forget, we have Wynn Smith taking your calls off the air over at 407-869-9800. And now back to Charles and Joe.
Thanks, Greg. I want to mention we've had a lot of requests over the years from our listeners up in the Villages and the Claremont area and Leesburg and so on and so forth to move a little bit closer, and we're going to accommodate you. We now have an office, we call it Office of Convenience, in the Schmidt Office Building right there on West Colonial Drive. So if any of our listeners want to drop in there and make an appointment, we'd be glad to accommodate you. And we also have an outpost out in Daytona Beach at the Daytona Beach Yacht Club. So any of our listeners out in Volusia County want to set up an appointment, we'd be glad to accommodate you. All you have to do is go to our website, financialgroup.com. That's financialgroup.com. We're glad to meet you there and talk about your situation and see if there's some common ground that we can give you some help on. So once again, that's financialgroup.com. I see a text question floating in there, Greg, so take it away.
That's right. We've got a question from Jason in Winter Park, and Jason asks, are bonus annuities a good deal? It just sounds too good to be true.
Well, these are the ones that you hear the ads for. Get up to 30% more on your money, or 10% guaranteed for your lifetime, and all of this stuff. Right, Charles?
Yeah, and with those kind of bonus annuities, as you mentioned, you hear that. You invest with us, you're going to get a 15, 20% kind of bonus up front. That sounds like
how can you say no?
Yeah, how can you say no? You're at a steak dinner. They wined and dined you.
You had a couple of drinks, had a good steak.
Correct, and there's a reason. And it's something to kind of talk about to our audience that they need to kind of hear. We talk about it from time to time, and it's important to kind of stop and just remember this, that if it sounds too good to be true, and they're wining and dining you at a steakhouse with a group of 30 people, it's probably not in your best interest. There's got to be some things kind of underneath the hood or in the contract. And typically what they're going to be selling you is annuities, which are probably the most profitable product that an insurance agent can sell you. And with that, when they're offering you these bonuses, the higher the number, it's almost like the Hotel California. Once you come in,
you can never leave.
You can never leave. And I've been doing this for 25 years. I have plenty of horror stories. We could probably do a whole show about me talking about folks who've come in from other advisors who've been worked over by them and have bought in things that they didn't realize what they had bought, and they're stuck with it. And it's, in order to get out of these things, there's just fees upon fees and surrender charges that were just so extreme that it's really to the detriment to them and what they did and what the insurance agent kind of did to them. And it's also how folks come into financial services in terms of getting help, depending on kind of where they walk in. It's very important, and you talk about it all the time, dealing with a CFP professional or someone who has a legal obligation or fiduciary obligation to put the client's interests above everything else.
Yeah, unfortunately, anybody today, and many people do, call themselves a fiduciary, financial advisor, investment manager, all kinds of terms out there, and then they go to these dinner seminars, and then they do something that they wish they had not done, and then they give our profession a bad name, which is unfortunate. Yeah.
Right. Or and they've done something they wish they hadn't done, and they're a couple months into it, and you can't reverse it. With the annuities, you do have a free look period where you can reverse it, but you got to catch it early. And the thing that I try to tell folks, whether you hire us or hire somebody else, make sure to sit down with us before you make a decision like that, where you, in essence, are signing a legal binding contract of you're giving your money away to an insurance agency for what they promise you. And they'll promise all sorts of things. Unless it's in that contract that you sign, the promises is just kind of a veiled promise, and it's not going to be there. And they can promise you those tremendous bonuses that sound phenomenal, but there's a lot of catches, and typically the big catches, you're stuck in that annuity contract for 10 plus years. And if you try to get out of it, you're paying exorbitant surrender fees where that bonus basically gets wiped out. And then the way that you're able to pay you that bonus is they're feeing you like crazy inside of that contract, where it's, as a fiduciary, we would never recommend something with a lot of expenses like that. And those expenses are just eye-opening compared to what's available to you as an investor if you were choosing kind of other ways of doing things.
Yeah, the rule of thumb, if they're offering you those bonuses, there's always a catch. And oftentimes, as you said, it's 10 years. And sometimes to get those high bonuses, you can never get out. It's a lifetime contract. You can't get your money out, and that's the only way you get that bonus. And, if you understand that that's what the deal is and you can live with that, well, of course, that's your choice. But go in with your eyes wide open and be very, very careful. But the rule of thumb is the dinner seminars are usually the most expensive meal you may ever have.
And the other thing, too, the person who gives a seminar, they might be the best salesperson you've ever heard.
Oh, they are.
Sounds fantastic, kind of like up there with timeshares. It's like, where do you sign? The issue is that once you sign and once you bought this, good luck getting service, because they've been paid and they're moving on to the next person, to the next kind of dinner seminar, and your service just falls off a cliff that you probably won't see or hear from that person ever again.
Yeah, and the real travesties in those transactions, so a lot of times they put your retirement money in it.
Correct. And that's really the tragedy. There's a lot of rules in place in the industry to prevent it, but there are some unscrupulous people out there that will take somebody's all their retirement or their IRA and say, cash it out and buy it, put it into this annuity because of X, Y, and Z. And they do it. And as you said, once that money goes in, and I've seen it before in terms of a horror story where somebody was 80 years old, they walked into a bank, bought an annuity, tied up their money for 10 plus years. And I said, well, how long do you think you're going to live? Are you going to live till you're in your mid 90s? And it's like, no. And it's like, why would somebody recommend this being suitable for you as an 80-year-old to take your life savings and lock it up in an annuity where you have to pay penalties to get your money out of it unless you hold it for over 10 years. Right. And it's just a tragedy because they just wipe out that person's savings that was there to pay for medical and other expenses and just lock it all up into a annuity contract that's very expensive, or you can't get out of it. The only way you get out is you have to agree to a small amount of money per month or per year from it.
Yeah. Now, there is a place for annuities. Not all annuities are bad, and some people like to paint with a very broad spread and say all annuities are bad. If you've been in the business long enough, you know where to find the very, very best products that don't have any sales commissions, that can get you what you need to do with the guarantees that annuity provides. But I can tell you that the ones that you get at the dinner opportunities are generally not the best for you. So,
right. Yeah. And be careful. Be careful. There's a reason why they're doing a dinner seminar and why they're spending all that money on you, especially if they've never met you before. They're trying to wine and dine you and get you to do something that might not be in your best interest, but of course it's in the best interest of the insurance agent.
Right. All right. I see another text question floated in there. Greg?
Yeah, we do have another one in here. It's from Michael in Maitland, and Michael's looking to set aside money for his kids' college education.
Yeah.
Should they go with a 529 plan or the Florida prepaid plan? And I know in our first segment of the show this morning that you guys talked a lot in really in-depth detail about this. There's a great way for you to go back and listen to that first segment of the show. Isn't that right, Joe?
Yeah. So you want to summarize that in case Michael just tuned in?
Yeah, and as Greg mentioned, a great way if you enjoy what we talked about earlier today, or if you want to go back and listen to what Joe and I had talked before about 529 plans. One of the nice things we do here as a company is the ones radio shows that we do that have a lot of guests kind of feedback of what they like. We'll make them into podcasts that you can share with your loved ones or with friends or family. So if you have someone who's got kids that are almost college age, you want to hear more about 529 plans, you could get that podcast. Or if you about the important legal documents that we talked about earlier today, you can get that in a way that you can kind of share and listen to at your leisure. But yeah, the main things, 529 plan is something that you can use for both college and for graduate school, whereas the Florida prepaid typically is to lock in the costs of college in the state of Florida. And there's a bunch of different ways that you can do those, whether it's a 2-year plan or 4-year plan, dorms, meals, everything in between.
The 529 plan is sponsored by a mutual fund company.
Typically. And the other thing, too, about 529 plans that folks need to remember is that you need to keep very good records, especially on your college expenses. Certain things you can use a 529 plan on and certain things you can't. But the main thing is you need to keep good records. I've had talked to someone that came in the door who got in trouble because they took money out of the 529 plan and just gave it to their son directly. And there was no kind of paper trail of what expenses that money was used for. And so they just thought, oh, I'll just pull $10,000 out of my 529 plan, give it to my son so he could use it for his rent for college. But there wasn't a specific bill that matched with what he had withdrawn from the 529 plan. And he got in trouble with the IRS because of that.
Yep. So you got to be careful. They're great plans, but you got to know what you're doing. So I see another text question floated in there, Greg.
They are flying in this morning. We've got one from Matt up in the Villages, where you just mentioned there's a new location for people in the Villages to be able to meet up with you guys. But what is the best way to title the beneficiaries of my assets? I'm thinking of giving my IRA to my daughter and brokerage account to my church.
Yeah, thanks, Matt, for that question. That's a good one in terms of when you're looking at your estate, kind of what's the best way to give money both to your children as well as if you're charitably inclined. I know you all were talking about QCDs last week. One of the main things when you think about assets, when you give an IRA, and typically a lot of folks just put their children down as the beneficiaries of their IRAs. When you give them an IRA, what you've done is you've given them kind of almost like a tax bomb in the sense that they're going to be required to pull money out of that IRA over the next 10 years. And all that money that they pull out is taxable income to them. So they might be in a low to mid tax bracket, but if you have, let's say, $1 million IRA that you give to that child, all of a sudden now you're going to be pulling them into the higher tax brackets just because of how you titled the assets. Whereas if you gave them a taxable account, they get a step up in basis. And all of a sudden, if they need to pull money out, they could pull money out if it's kind of in cash, or they'll pay long-term capital gains or short-term capital gains on that. If long-term capital gains, of course, is a lower rate than what your normal kind of income taxes would be. So ultimately, if you have, let's say, $1 million in an IRA and $1 million in a taxable account, give the taxable account to your child as you're passing, and give the IRA to the church or charity, because for the church or charity, they're not going to pay taxes on those funds. And you're better off giving them those assets and give the taxable assets to your child so you avoid increasing kind of their income.
Yeah. So once again, if you leave that taxable account to someone, they get what's called a step up in basis. They get that asset today, sell it tomorrow, and have absolutely no income tax to pay. Right. And if they hold it for a period of time, if they hold it for more than a year, they have long-term capital gains taxes to pay on any gain, not on the inherited amount. So there are ways to do that. That's what we do as certified financial planners day in and day out. If you want more information about us and Charles and me and the other 15 certified financial planners, go to our website. That's financialgroup.com, financialgroup.com.
And at that same website, don't forget you can check out the On the Money podcast, where you can listen to a lot of our great episodes that we've had here in the past. Again, mentioning some of these great topics that we've asked questions here today that you can get a much more detailed, in-depth answer to. You've been listening to On the Money here on WDBO. We're planning tomorrow
today
with the Certified Financial.
Monday, the dot-com bust, 9/11, and now 2 wars. We've pretty much seen it all. Acting as fiduciaries, our CFP professionals have been a steady hand guiding our clients to and through their retirement years.
No reason to be worried about anything.
Stay the course. You stay the course, and you get there.
I don't have to worry about it like I know a lot of people look at it every day. I don't have to do that with the team here at Certified Financial Group.
We're Certified Financial Group, where we're planning tomorrow, today. Are you tired of trying to reach your advisor through a call center and being put on hold for 20 minutes? That's why we don't use one, and our clients seem to appreciate the personal touch.
They always answer my questions and really care about what's going on with me.
You can trust what they say, and they do what they say, and it gives you a comfort feeling it's hard to find in the world today.
Waiting for you to call almost. You almost feel like that.
We're Certified Financial Group, where we're planning tomorrow, today.
As an investor, you want peace of mind. You need to know that your advisor is not only thoroughly competent, but also a fiduciary. In other words, he or she is acting at all times in your best interests. You need to trust your advisor, regardless of how much money you have to invest or what part of the world you're in. It might not be your money you're entrusting the advisor with. Perhaps you're a board member of a charity or foundation whose future depends on prudent investment. Or perhaps you have the responsibility of making investment decisions on behalf of other people. As the trustee of a retirement plan, the decisions you make can have a direct impact on the lives of your employees. Whatever type of investor you are, the solution is to use an advisor certified by the Center for Fiduciary Excellence. A CFEX certified advisory firm demonstrates its adherence to a global fiduciary standard of excellence, a defined standard with specific criteria covering 21 best practices. The documented, repeatable processes and the evidence-based decision-making that CFEX demands are more likely to generate investment portfolios that match client needs and expectations. And because the firm voluntarily agrees to a rigorous annual audit, investors can rest assured that their advisor continues to work to the highest professional standards. This independent verification is even more critical for trustees and investment committee members of retirement plans who are legally required to conduct regular due diligence on their service providers. Use a CFEX certified firm, and that job has been done already by an expert at no expense to the plan. So why leave anything to chance? Insist on working with investment professionals you can truly trust. Insist on using a CFEX certified advisor.
So you guys don't know Chicago, but I'm sure in your neighborhood you guys have an old school butcher where you walk in and there's a bunch of guys, no gloves, big white aprons, and there's Frank and there's Stevie and there's Mikey. And these guys know more about meat and more about animals and more about cooking the meat than any of us will ever learn. And so you walk in and you say, hey, Lou, I need to, I'm barbecuing this weekend, right? What do you like? And Lou goes to the big racks of stuff he has underneath the glass, and he goes, the veal chops, just in from Argentina, they are the bomb. And you go, veal? Oh, I like veal. Well, what do you got on skirt steak? Oh, we got some great skirt steak. Just came in yesterday from Montana. Skirt steak is one of my favorite, marinated up a little bit. It's fantastic. Lou will never say to you, Elliot, it's a little long on the meat here, big guy. Your cholesterol is getting high. Why don't you go down to the fishmonger a couple blocks and have a nice piece of salmon? Right? He'll never do that. Why? His job is to sell me meat, and I go in, actually the same way I go into the Toyota dealership, because I like Toyotas, and I trust the salesman to sell me a good product if I trust him. And the fact that he's got my interest at heart vis-a-vis my expectations for selling me that thing. By the same token, when I go to see a dietitian, I know she's going to look at all of my labs, she's going to take all the measurements, she's going to run all of her analysis, and she's going to absolutely give me her best thinking on what's best for me. Whether she's a vegetarian or a meat lover, likes this, likes that, if she thinks I should be doing something differently, even if it's not good for her, she's going to give me an opinion that's for my interest. So what's the difference between a fiduciary and the brokers? Well, these are dietitians, these are butchers. It's that simple. Brokers are butchers selling product. Fiduciaries are dietitians looking after your health. The problem is most people think that their butcher is a dietitian. So when one of your moms or dads or friends calls the broker and says, I got 200 grand, I sold a little piece of property, or I got some inheritance, what should I do with it?
Welcome back to On the Money here on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. You can also listen live on the WDBO app, wherever you are. Today we have Charles Curry and Joe Bert from the Certified Financial Group. If you have any questions about your finances, you can go ahead and leave an open mic inside the WDBO app. We do still have a little bit of time for maybe a call at 844-580-9326. But you can also call Win Smith, who's taking your calls off the air today, over at 407-869-9800. And now back to Charles and Joe.
Yeah, I see another text question float in there. Greg?
That's right. People are using the text message today. I love it. I want to retire and start collecting Social Security at the age of 62. Is that a wise thing to do? That's coming from Trevin in Oviedo.
It depends.
Yeah, Trevor, thank you for using the text feature and texting into us here on the radio show. In terms of taking kind of Social Security and taking it early, of course, with Social Security, you can claim it anywhere from age 62 to your full retirement age, which is now typically 67. And then the latest you can claim is age 70. When you take it at full retirement age, you get everything that you're entitled to that's from those statements of what you've paid in and what they guarantee they're going to give you. And of course, if you wait beyond age 67, the government will actually give you a guaranteed kind of increase in the amount of income that they're going to give you each month as you wait. And then if you wait all the way to age 70, that's kind of the maximum you're going to receive, which can be a lot more than what your full retirement would be.
You know, people don't do the calculation, but that's 8% per year increase, guaranteed, compounded, plus cost of living.
Correct. And it's the full faith of the U.S. government behind it, which is hard to find something that has that type of guarantee. And that COLA or cost of living adjustment is huge when you start thinking about inflation and the cost of things. Conversely, if you take it before full retirement age, you are in essence kind of penalizing yourself from receiving kind of your full, what you're entitled to from Social Security Administration. And if you take it as early as age 62, you can be in essence giving yourself a 30% haircut of what you're entitled to. And that really can add up over time, especially if you have longevity in your family and say you collected at age 62, and let's say you live to your 85 or 90, that several $100s less that you're receiving that builds up every year over time that you have to make up for that shortfall from your other retirement assets. So Trevin, back to collecting Social Security, if you've done well in life and saved a lot of money for retirement, some folks come in and say, I'm just adamant, I want to take Social Security as soon as I can. I'm worried that it's going to be insolvent or that it's going to go away. I just want to take it so it can start. I understand kind of that need for the money, and especially if you retire from work. You say, I just need that to live on of taking Social Security. But just realize that you're going to be taking less money than what you're entitled to.
Yep.
And that also, too, if you're married, if you take it early, you could also be detrimenting your spouse because you've locked in at a lower rate than what you're entitled to. And at your passing, if you're the higher breadwinner, that could really adversely affect your spouse and what they would receive when you pass away.
So sit down with a certified financial planner. We have 17 of them right here at Certified Financial Group. We offer a no obligation visit. Go to our website. That's financialgroup.com. Financialgroup.com. Hope to see you here at our new office in Windermere, or not in Windermere, used to be Windermere, but in Winter Garden, and also office out in Daytona Beach.
You've been listening to On the Money, where we're planning tomorrow
Today
with the Certified Financial